Hi there, and welcome to the BrainyAss podcast, Kicking Ass with Annie Brass. And today on the show we have with us Todd Wakefield, who is the bass player for Dale Mack.
Yep, that's my main gig now, you bet.
Okay, so how you doing, Todd?
Wonderful.
Okay. So you're here in Regina, Saskatchewan.
Yep.
And you've been coping with COVID-19.
Yeah, yep.
And so how has that changed your life and everything around you?
Well, I found out that I'm more of a hermit than I thought I was.
Okay.
Because other than not being able to go grocery shopping, it hasn't really changed.
Okay. So there's really no difference.
Not really. I spend a lot of time with my family, a lot of time at home. Mm-hmm. The music has definitely slowed down. No shows, things like that, being canceled, pushed back. We had a few festivals booked for the summer of 2020 that didn't come to fruition because everything shut down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of festivals did you have lined up?
Probably the highlight for this summer would have been All Folked Up in Momart.
Okay.
We were there last year. We would have
Yeah.
been here again this year, but hopefully we can come back next year and have some new material.
Right. So being with Dale Mack, you've how long have you two been together?
I want to say we started playing together in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, just dumb luck we came together, really. I started a Facebook page for local musicians, and he put an ad on there that I responded to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's how we met, was Facebook.
Wow. So that's awesome. So what are some of the more memorable gigs that the two of you have done together?
We headlined Indigenous Peoples Day in Banff, Alberta at the Centre for Performing Arts. And last year, I believe it was, we played the Sakihiwi Festival in Winnipeg. Mm-hmm. And those are probably the big, most memorable ones. We've done a lot of shows locally. Mm-hmm. McNally's, when they were still McNally's, used to have us there, 5-6 times a year, keep us sharp. They liked us around there, so if there was any space where we would have fit, we kind of just got an email saying, hey, can you come and show up? And yeah, it was good.
Okay. What kind of music, how would you describe your music?
It's a little bit more in depth. I would say the root of it would be bluesy roots rock.
Okay.
But I also think he's part of the new wave Indigenous music coming through Canada, which really isn't beholden to a genre.
Okay.
Because we've kind of got a lot of different sounds, but it still feels like us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
So what is the name of the last album that you produced with Dale?
The last album that we put out was an EP. We called it American Horse.
Okay.
I played bass on all the tracks, but I co-wrote 2.
Okay. Which are the 2 tracks?
The 2 tracks I co-wrote were Small Town Nowhere and Nobody Like You.
Okay. And so later on in the show, we'll have an opportunity to listen to one of those tracks.
Okay.
Okay. And so I'll let you decide which one we should have a listen to if that's cool. All right. So with Dale, you've had a lot of opportunities to do different shows. Some of these shows have taken you to the far north of Saskatchewan. Or Manitoba.
It was Manitoba. We
Okay.
went really, really far away from home. We did play in the PA Winter Festival one year. We played there, but that northern Manitoba was Cross Lake.
Okay.
Where they put a state of emergency or in place, or however you want to word that, for the youth suicide. Mm-hmm. And we put together a local group of musicians to go up there, and we had concerts, we had songwriting workshops, we had recording workshops, we had live shows.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was very fun. Like we figured we were coming into somewhere where the tone would be really somber and kind of sad.
Yeah.
But the resilience of the people up there was nothing short of inspiring.
Wow.
Because we went up there and we were met with smiles and happy faces.
Yeah.
And some people would talk about who they've lost and the losses that they've had over the last couple of years, and there would be kind of a somber tone for a second, and then it's part of life, let's move on, let's let's keep going, because
Yeah.
it was, you had to, like a
Right.
lot of it up there is subsistence living. So, you know, you always got to hunt for the next meal and all that kind of stuff. Like from Regina, they were like 1,000 kilometers away from us. We went up there, and for the last couple hours, it was just like trees right against the road, and
Yeah.
then open lakes, and then trees against the road again. Like you're pretty far up there.
So you're going into the wilderness then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fairly wild up there. You
Oh,
bet.
wow.
Yep.
Yeah. And so when you were up there, was it in the summertime or the wintertime, or what time of year was that?
I can't remember when we went up there. It was later in the year, I believe, because we were starting to worry about we could run into some winter storms.
Okay.
It was late fall. If I just can't remember what date it was.
Okay.
Because goose hunting was starting to.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what they were starting to do up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So, well, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, how old were you when you started playing bass?
Well, it's hard to remember. I was still single digits in age when I picked up my first bass. I want to say I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. My brother had kind of started a band, and his friend would leave his bass there. And so I started picking it up, and my brother taught me how to read tab off of a guitar book.
Okay.
And the very first song I ever played was Don't Cry by Guns N' Roses, just because that's what I had the tabs for.
Right.
And it was a song I've heard, so
Yeah.
that's what I learned to listen to,
Okay.
or to play. It was stuff I already listened to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so, from that experience, what would you tell young bass players or young people who wanna pick up an instrument and play? What would your advice be to them?
If you're interested in music, there's so much to do in music. You don't necessarily need to play an instrument, because there's recording, there's producing, there's songwriting, even if you just want to be a ghostwriter.
Okay.
Or
In the sky?
yeah. But you can write songs for other people. Like, oh, I know Dale's sound. Well, you know what? I think this song would go great for Dale, and you can
Okay.
approach him and
Yeah.
sell him on the song. And
Okay.
so there's lots to do. But as far as instruments go, if one instrument doesn't work out and you really want to play, there's so many other things you can do.
Great.
Like, I fell in love with bass because I realized my favorite parts of the songs were always the groove of the bass. Yeah.
Okay. So, as a songwriter, the songs that you've written or co-written, right? What was that like, putting it to music? Did you have the theme in your head as you're writing it, or did you hear it in your mind? Like, how did that work?
So most of the stuff that I've co-written comes from riffs that I had, or bass lines or runs that kind of started to fall together into a song. And Dale is more the lyric guy. Like,
Okay.
he gives me some guidance, and we kind of work on it together. Because I remember, so the song Small Town Nowhere, I was long haul trucking at the time. I was in my sleeper of my truck doing a 36-hour reset just outside Montreal, and I had my acoustic bass, and I started writing this bass riff, and then I had a few other parts to it, and then when I brought it to Dale, it was very right up his alley, for lack of a better descriptor. Like, that's one of the things why I think we get along, is because we have so much in common musically, that even when I'm not part of the songwriting process, I think we're on the same page enough that he kind of gives me the artistic freedom on bass to fill in the parts that I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while he'll go, well, you know, in this part here, how about we do a run, or what about this change or whatever, and then, you know, we work on it together and come up with the final formula. But that song Small Town Nowhere, like I was saying, outside of Montreal, like we mentioned that in the lyrics, that I'm
Yeah.
sitting outside Montreal, right? So it's kind of a story of a long haul trucker being away from the woman he loves, how it didn't really work out, but I'm coming home to you, kind of thing, and we're gonna make it work, or do you want to make it work, is kind of the thing. Most of the lyrics we have are songs of resilience, even through hardship. Like,
Right.
yeah. So it's we'd never try to end on a down tone, or like a sad note. Even some of the saddest songs we have are about resilience.
Okay. Okay. So with that, let's take a listen to Small Town Nowhere.
Sometimes I'm sitting thinking about those Saturday nights. All along I thought we had it right. Didn't think you'd notice when my heart began to change. Funny how you had nothing to say. Well, I was looking for something better than this. These memories, they won't let me forget. I just have to regret, I guess I have to regret. How far would you drive? How far would you go? Looking for your place. Looking for your face. Find a way back home. I didn't think you'd notice, but I thought we had it all. I parked inside a truck stop in Montreal. Turned the paper over, said the big fair's back in June. So I took a chance, thought I'd think of you. On the Ferris wheel, when you held onto me, don't you remember the way you held onto me? You were something to see, yeah, you were something to see. How far would you drive? How far would you go? Looking for your place. Looking for our face. Find a way back driving through this stormy heart, and your name's on my breath. Spent my last dime on a cigarette. Have a tank of gasoline and a pocket full of regret. Small town, nowhere as far as I get. Now I'm waiting for you to decide if it's me you want right by your side. 'Cause I'm willing to drive if you're willing to try. How far would you drive? How far would you go? Looking for your place. Looking for our face. Find my way back home. Find my way back home. Find my way back home. Find my way back.
Okay, so listening to Small Town Nowhere, I'm always it always takes me into this real romantical kind of like scene in my mind, right?
Yep.
I'm seeing this, like you say, a truck driver, a long distance truck driver coming home to the woman he loves, and you're talking about the resiliency, and I see that, and so when you play this song and you and Dale are playing this out in the crowds, do you get a lot of people up dancing, and is that kind of something that happens?
Sometimes people
Yeah.
dance, yeah. It's so weird. Like, you go to a music festival or you're playing a live show, there's always a little core group of people that want to dance.
Right.
And it's funny because they'll disperse on a slower song, and then something upbeat comes. They come rushing from everywhere just to get back up and to dance. And it's humbling or awe-inspiring, or to see people want to dance to something that you've created.
Right. right. I can't imagine the joy that you must feel from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and so another one of the clips that you've chosen to send me is this new bass run that you're working on.
Yes.
Yes. And so when you created that, right?
Yeah.
What was going on with you at the time?
So I just purchased my very first Fender bass. I've always steered away from Fender because the older style stuff, I didn't like the way they felt in my hands. Okay. Now, I don't know if it came with like the difference in tone that I could hear when I played it now, or if being an adult or a seasoned player kind of made it a little bit easier for me to play. I don't know what it was, but I saw it on the shelf. I fell in love with it. It had this black binding that ran around the outside of a maple fretboard and these big black blocks for fret markers. I just fell in love with it. And then it was a PJ pickup configuration, so it had both precision and jazz bass pickups. And the sound that I get out of it is buttery smooth. Like, it's just awesome. And basically, I found on the internet, it's like a live drum track, but it's just looped 4/4 time. I found like a BPM that inspired me, and I just listened to it while playing my bass, and this is what just kind of developed out of it. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. So is there any name for it or anything like that? Or
it's untitled yet.
It's untitled?
Yeah, on my computer it's labeled Untitled Funk. So
okay, so we're going to take a listen to Untitled Funk here right away.
Okay.
And then we'll come back. So. Okay, so that was Untitled Funk by Todd Wakefield.
So far, yeah.
Awesome, I love it. It's got this really groovy vibe, and when I was listening to it, the first thing I thought of, and it's just kind of some imagery that went in my head, so you might think of this for a video, is I thought of driving on the Louvain or else on that new highway that they just made coming around the city.
The bypass.
Yeah, and all the lights, the way the lights come down, and I just thought like that would just be just an awesome, because I do a lot of road tripping, right? Yeah. It'd just be an awesome like thing to just kind of drive and vibe, you know?
Yeah, well, as far as my perspective from a bass player comes, if just the drums and bass are enough to make people want to groove and dance, it's got the potential to be a full-out song, because a lot of my favorite parts of other songs are when the guitar drops out, the vocals, come silent, and just drum and bass.
Right.
And that's always my favorite part of the song. Like old school punk songs, pop punk songs. Yeah. That's always my favorite part, is right after the solo, and it's just drum and bass before the song comes back in. That's always been my favorite part.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I always strive to have that little bit of a groove. Like anybody that's known me for any amount of time always knows that I say I'm the keeper of the groove, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, the reason your girlfriend dances, that's what I like to tell people.
I make the girls dance. Yeah, there you go, for sure. That's awesome. That's so awesome. So that's about you musically. So we're gonna switch gears here, and one of the things that I like to talk about on the BrainyAss show is some kind of a paranormal encounter that you may have had. I'll share with you something that happened with me a while ago. I was and this is I don't know if you know the number 6 highway very well, but it goes through a small town called Southie, Saskatchewan. And at the end of Southie, when you're going north, there's 2 graveyards on the side of the road by Southie. And so my sister and I were traveling back from Regina. My mom lives out past Southie, probably about half an hour on the other side north of Southie. There's a town called Raymore. So we have to pass through Southie to get out to my mom's. And so I was still living with my parents. I was probably about 18, 19 years old. And my sister and I came to Regina. And we came up to watch a movie. And coming home, it was late. It was probably because we'd stopped for McDonald's or whatever, after the movie. And get to Southie, and there's this dude standing on the side of the road, and it looked like he was having car trouble. His headlights were going on and off, which was really weird because it was the 80s, right? So headlights and car lights back in those days didn't really have kind of the same kind of technology that we have now, where they can just kind of flash on and off like that. It wasn't blinkers, it was headlights going bright, and yeah, so it was kind of weird. And this dude was standing in the middle of the road. He was dressed all in black, and I remember his face was really, really almost translucent. It was like really pale. It was like almost glow-in-the-darky kind of. And he came up to the vehicle, and he had his hand out like this, and he was like wanting me to stop, right? And I was like looking at him, and I told my sister, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on with this guy. Like, he's wanting us to stop. So I slowed right down, and my sister looked, and my sister said she felt really creeped out by this guy, and all the hair on the back of her head kind of stood up and give her like the EBGBs, eh? And so she's like, don't stop, go. And she locks the doors with the automatic locks. And so I stepped on the gas, and I speeded up just as he was right next to us. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I just kept going. I didn't stop. And when we turned around, after we just passed him, I looked in the rearview mirror. My sister turned around. He was gone. He was not there. His car was gone. He was gone. And it just like the most spookiest, creepiest thing that like ever happened. So anyways, I call him Palehead. Because he has like such a pale face.
Not to be confused with the guitarist Buckethead.
No, yeah, exactly. Palehead. So that's my Palehead story. So if you've got some kind of an event that you can think of that you'd like to...
So I was long haul trucking through Ontario during a snowstorm, and it's just blinding, but the highways out there, there's no shoulders, there's no pullouts.
Right.
You have to get to the next town if you want to safely pull over.
Okay.
And for me to just stop, I'm going to be the cause of somebody rear-ending me, and it's just going to be a mess. So I'm trying to get through to the next town, and I hear somebody say, "Be careful." And out my side vision, there's somebody in my passenger seat. And I looked over, and there's nobody there. I'm in a truck by myself.
Wow.
And I think that was a guardian angel moment that I had.
Oh, wow.
And several times that night, it felt like somebody was over there, but
yeah.
That's about the craziest I think I've ever had. I've had UFOs, technically, because I couldn't identify them, so they were UFOs, right?
Okay.
One time, my mom and I were coming home from town. I would have been about 10 years old maybe, and we're slowing down for our corner to turn off the main highway. And this light just goes straight down the highway in the middle of the night, just lit up everywhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was probably, a shooting star of some sort that was really close. But it was crazy just to see it light up because it went almost straight with the highway and just gone.
Wow.
Yeah, and another time, Highway 1, midday, something flew real slow like over the highway, and I was watching it. And I actually posted on Facebook that if I disappeared, this is what happened because they flew right over top of me, and I tried to take a picture, but it wasn't there. I thought it was in frame, took a picture, nothing there, and I watched it fly away from me just all slow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So that's...
It was just probably some awkward angle of a crop dusting plane, and I couldn't register what it was, but those are...
Could have been Mork from Mork.
Yeah, well... I'm a big fan of the Nanu Nanu,
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So, anyways, Todd, thank you very much for being on my show. I really appreciate it.
It was a lot of fun.
It really was. Okay. So, and thank you to everybody who's watched the show today. And send us your comments or, come check us out on Facebook. And thank you to my sponsors, to Eagle Flight Network. Thank you very much for all of the great sponsorship that you're sending me. And have a great day. Thank you. And this is such a basic human thing. Everybody that I know has a story. One kind of a weird encounter, a weird situation that occurred with them. And it's nice to be able to share that. It kind of brings people down on a more humane level, and everybody's got these stories and we're all interested in them.